What's good, YouTube? It is the one and only Fourth and Goal, and we are back again with another video, man. The NFL draft literally just wrapped up last night or yesterday throughout the day, and man, this draft was really exciting. I'm super excited for my Eagles. I'm actually really excited for some other teams, and we want to talk about that today. But I'm also very puzzled because some teams, they make some questionable decisions, and you can definitely tell that they don't have a real sense of direction of what they want to do with their roster, their organization, their philosophy, and I'm just very confused with some teams. But first things first, man, I really appreciate you guys, man. We're almost at 50 subs. The grind is real. I love all you guys, man. This is more so like a broad video. I will make detailed videos later on throughout the week, but first things first, we got to talk about the draft and things like that. So the first thing we got to talk about is obviously my Philadelphia Eagles. We won the first round, pretty much the first 3 rounds. I love every draft pick that we did. First things first, Jalen Carter, he fell to number 9. We traded forward one spot to the Bears. Probably the Bears were probably just going to like flirt around with us, just try to get something out of us. I think the Bears knew they weren't getting Jalen Carter, but they were sort of like scaring Howie Roseman in the front office, or maybe another team wanted to jump us to get Jalen Carter. That's very possible, but either way, I love the acquisition. Obviously, he adds a lot more beef to the D line, him and Nolan Smith, actually, because if you guys remember, I did say that we need to revamp our D line, get some younger, more youth pieces. I think Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis, Brandon Graham, and now Jalen Carter is a phenomenal D line. Man, you have Nolan Smith and Hassan Reddick on the edges. I just think our D line is complete, probably the best D line in the whole NFL. But that's just day one, because in day 2 and 3 we made a lot of, really just day 2. So no, day 3, day 2, day 3 we made a big move. We got the man himself, DeAndre Swift. That trade, man, is like a 4th round or 5th round pick. It was really questionable because the Detroit Lions, they got Jahmyr Gibbs in the 1st round, and people were just very questioned, and even I was questioned about what they're going to do with their roster. And Lord and behold, they trade their best running back, DeAndre Swift, and I'll take him any day for a 4th round pick. And he's still on his rookie deal, taking about $1 million from the salary cap, which is pretty much nothing. So I will take that any time of the day. So, but moving on. And the last thing, I love our pick, the safety from Illinois. I think that was a really great pick. I watched some of his highlights. He's a really great ball hawking safety. I think he's going to fit in, be a day 1 starter for our team. So either way, I give us an A++. Moving on, this is going to be like a really quick one. I told you guys that the Washington Commanders needed more defensive playmakers. They struggle with turning the ball over or creating turnovers, and they got Emmanuel Forbes. I love the acquisition so much because he's probably one of the better playmaking DBs in the draft, and they took a gamble on him. I think he was a gamble, a little bit of a reach, but I think just his playing style and more like a Marcus Peters. He's going to jump routes. He's going to try and get that pick 6, or just read the quarterback eyes. I do love the acquisition. I think he can help out their defense with turning the ball over and just things like that. I think he's a massive boost, but at the same time, he is a bit of a gamble. So let's see what happens there. Another quick thing we got to talk about, which I'm a little bit confused on, were the Detroit Lions. When they got Gibbs initially, I think everybody was confused because it's like you already have Swift and Montgomery, and now you're getting Jahmyr Gibbs. But all that got cleared up real quick when they traded DeAndre Swift. I love how they didn't get a quarterback with their 1st pick or their 2nd pick. They wanted to get some other things filled first. I think a quarterback is not a need for this team. Obviously, they can beef up their D line still, their linebacking core, their receiving core, the O line, and then maybe the quarterback. I think their running back position is good. Their running back position is good, and their DBs, like, those 2 things are good. But I think Brian Branch, that was just still of the draft. I think Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is not the long-term safety. If Brian Branch looks good, I think they're going to move off of him. If Brian Branch is just phenomenal for him, quite honestly. And if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But I think, why would you get Brian Brent. You already have Chauncey, you have Kirby Joseph. Those are your two main safeties, and you add in Brian Brent for what reason? And he's a covered safety. That's just my train of thought. Going to another team that I'm a little bit questioned on are the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks, they got Devon Witherspoon. Don't get me wrong, he is a phenomenal corner, a really nice physical corner, but I just feel like the Seahawks now have the Falcons and the Detroit Lions problem. They have a loaded secondary room, probably a bit too loaded. I think the Seahawks, I thought they were going to get Tyree Wilson or Jalen Carter, but I thought they would do that mainly because like their D line is very average. It's not something that's like sticking out. They don't have anybody that's a certified Pro Bowler or somebody with really young talent. Just let him develop. I think their D line is very average, and there's always room for improvement. And even within the secondary, but the problem is everybody on their secondary can start for the team. At the cornerback positions, you have Woolen. Kobe Bryant is probably the only person who's not a certified starter, but you also just now brought in Devon Witherspoon, and then Julian Love, he just signed to the team, and you still have Quade Diggs, and Jamal Adams is coming off his injury this year. Jamal Adams is probably the biggest question mark for the team. Can he still produce at a high level, or will he finally make that transition into a linebacker? I know some Seahawks fans like him at that linebacker position because he's a phenomenal box player, and sometimes when he's in coverage, he's a bit questionable. His awareness is not all the way there, but when he's in the box and he's tackling a running back, he's chasing down running backs, he is actually very phenomenal. And I think if he's more in the box, more as a linebacker, that fits his game more in 2023. Going back to some winners, the Carolina Panthers, I think they won. I think with them getting Bryce Young, obviously the best player in the draft, probably the second best player, or the third best if you want to count Will Anderson and Jalen Carter, but no doubt the best offensive player in the NFL draft. I did not notice, but they have a lot of tools for Bryce Young to come in and really work and for him to really succeed, which you don't really see a lot. Like in the behind the scenes, they have Frank Wright. He is a quarterback guru. They got Josh McCown. He is a guy who just came out the league. He can give you more insights and things like that. And they have Jim Caldwell, I believe, also another quarterback. Just a guy who can work with quarterbacks and things like that. And they also got him veteran weapons. They got him a new running back within Miles Sanders. I think the Panthers, they are giving him as much tools as he needs to succeed. Even if they didn't get Bryce Young, they got C.J. Stroud or even Will Levis, Anthony Richardson. I think whoever quarterback was going to come in, they're going to make him feel comfortable and try to give him as much tools as they can so he can succeed. Very underrated what they did behind the scenes. I think it doesn't really get talked about enough. All you see is just Adam Thielen and DJ Shark, and now you got Bryce Young. But they're adding coaching and they're adding culture and things like that. I think that's very, very great. Another team we got to talk about are the Arizona Cardinals, and I'm going to make a long video on this, but I think what they're doing is, what the Cardinals are doing, it's like they traded back their third overall pick. They got the Texans 11th or 12th pick, and then their second round pick. But Adam Schefter did not announce when it happened that they got the Texans next year's first round pick. And again, I'm going to make a long-term video on this, but I think that's their insurance plan. I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want to spoil the video for you guys. But man, this drive, man, it does have some losers. Let's point out some of the losers now. One of the first losers we got to talk about are the Las Vegas Raiders. And don't get me wrong, I think Tyree Wilson is a phenomenal pick. Now, don't get me wrong, I do love the fact that they did replace Chandler Jones, and the fact that Chandler Jones really didn't meet his expectations he was supposed to meet last year, and they replaced Darren Waller, or his supposed replacement, and Michael Mayer, and they obviously Tyree Wilson is Chandler Jones' replacement, but they still need to work on the secondary. They really did not drive the secondary until Bennett. He went to Maryland, and that was in the fourth round. Yes, he could have went in the third round, but then they got Chris Smith from Georgia, my guy from Georgia. He is a good safety, but I think they missed out on getting someone like a Byron Branch or Jordan Battle, or just Joey Porter Jr. actually, or someone like that. They really did not make any moves drafting or trading some draft picks. I think my philosophy, I do think that the best prospects are in rounds 1, 2, 3, and then 4 through 7 are like your wild card players. I think a lot of the guys in the 4th and 7th round are going to be role players, practice squad players, or guys are just not going to make the final cut on any roster. Don't get me wrong, I think they're all phenomenal players, but quite honestly, I think the Raiders should have focused more on the secondary. I think their secondary, outside of Amik Robinson and Marcus Epps, they will get toasted every single game. Moving on, I think the next losers are the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons, they had a historically piss-poor defensive line these past couple seasons, and they really did not address that until the 3rd round when they got Zach Harrison. Now, again, don't get me wrong, I think every guy in the draft are phenomenal players, right? They're damn near, well, not damn near, they are for damn sure better than me, than I will ever be, actually, but they missed out on just like Miles Murphy. They could have got Nolan Smith. They could have got Jalen Carter with their 8th overall pick. They could have got somebody to help the D line. I don't think Bud Dupree and I think Calais Campbell is just not enough to really amplify your D line or make it better of the next year. I think they could have got a young piece to really help them out in the first round or even the 2nd round. But instead, they wait until the 3rd round to really adjust that. And I'm a firm believer in really not drafting running backs in the 1st round, mainly because like you're giving them a big contract, and if they get hurt or if the O-line sucks, that's gonna not saying that they're gonna suck, but like if a defensive lineman is getting back into the backfield every single play because your O-line sucks, your running back really can't do too much, quite honestly. And I think if you have a strong offensive line, you can get a mediocre running back to really take over to get the job done. Now in the 2nd level, when they're breaking tackles off linebackers and cornerbacks and safeties, I think okay, that's a skill issue, right? But just to get off the offensive line, or just to get off, just the defensive line, you got to have a really great offensive line just to get there. Just that's just me. Going to the last team we're going to talk about today, the Buffalo Bills. I think they're losers. First things first, I think their secondary needs a lot of work still. I think the guy from LA, Taylor Rapp, that's his name, Taylor Rapp. I think he's not enough to really help their defensive back situation. Trey White, he's facing a lot of injuries. Who else is on there? Not Levi Wallace. They got a couple other miscellaneous pieces, and I think they're good for being miscellaneous pieces, but they don't have a star cornerback anymore. I think Trey White is going to take a step back when he returns on the field. I think Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer, their prime days are over with. I think they're now hitting that brick wall of being old, basically, right? I think the Buffalo Bills, yes, they got Dalton Kincaid, which is the best player available at the time, but in the long run, will he be a bigger impact than getting a safety like Brian Branch, or getting a number 1 corner that can be like a number 1 corner like a Joey Porter or a Deontay Banks? They really did not draft a corner. They got it in the 7th round, but I mean, again, I think 7th round picks, I mean, not unless they're Tom Brady at the cornerback position, they probably won't really make a real impact on this team. But hey, those are just my thoughts, just my train of thought, things like that. I will make a long-term video on the Arizona Cardinals and on one more team, which I'm not going to spoil that team. I'm going to talk about that a little later. Let that video drop this week, man. But these are just my thoughts about the NFL draft, man. If you like this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And fly, Eagles, fly until I die. And I'm out, man. Peace.